tough in these heels. You need to get used to a little blood.
Why are you putting the screws on me and my family?
Now, I got good, strong boys. They don't have your gifts. I thought I'd give you a chance to work off the debt, so I don't put your niece and brother-in-law in a hole.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 action thriller Red Right Hand. The film is directed by Eshan Nelms and Ian Nelms, and it stars Orlando Bloom, Garrett Dillahunt and Andy McDowell. Now, the film is set in the Deep South and focuses on Orlando Bloom's character Cash, who he's got a bit of a shady past. He used to do a lot of work with Andy McDowell's character, Big Cat, and she rules the valley with an iron fist. She is the big dog. She is the one that runs the whole town. She's highly corrupt, highly vicious, and highly murderous. But he's turned over a new leaf, basically. He is living with his brother-in-law and his daughter on a farm, and he's trying, if you like, to live a normal life as best he can and put his past behind him. However, his brother has got into some serious debt with Big Cat, and in order to get his brother out of debt and essentially save his life, he agrees to do 3 jobs for Big Cat, and once these 3 jobs are done, he is free and clear, and his brother is free of debt. However, as you can imagine, things don't go as they should, and this puts Cash on a collision course with Big Cat and her goonies in order to try and save his family. Right, what are my thoughts on Red Right Hand? Well, I initially, when I was kind of deciding whether to kind of check this film out or not, I was looking at it and I just thought, initially it sounded, like a just very standard thriller. And then it's got Orlando Bloom playing some American guy from the Deep South, and obviously Orlando Bloom is not from the Deep South, he's English. So I was just kind of thinking, I don't see Orlando Bloom pulling this role off. I really don't, and I don't see him as like a tough guy. He's never really been that kind of macho actor sort of thing. So I was like, this is going to have to be some kind of magic trick for him to really pull this off. And then you've got the other factor of this film, which is Andy McDowell playing like a mob boss, really a vicious mob boss, and I couldn't see her pulling that off. But the curiosity got the better of me is really what I'm trying to say. And I checked this film out, obviously. And I was pleasantly surprised by this. Now, this, I do think, when I say, I thought it sounded generic, it is really very generic, this film. It's the usual thing, the good guys living on a farm, lots of debt to the villainous character. They've got to do favors to do this, that, and the other, but the favors are never enough, so it kind of ends badly. We've seen this sort of thing over and over and over again. However, this is done at a fairly high standard, is what I would say. I was, pardon me, quite impressed with Orlando Bloom here. You guys could correct me if you're going to watch this, if you're watching this review in the US, if you've seen this film. His accent seemed flawless to me. He seemed completely comfortable in this character's role that he was playing. He was in incredible shape, and he came across very genuine in his performance, and it was quite a complex and layered character. So I was super impressed with Orlando Bloom, and on par, or maybe even slightly more impressed with Andy McDowell. This is the Andy McDowell, from 4 Weddings and a Funeral, for goodness sake, and she plays a really brutal bitch here. I mean, you really do want to see her get her comeuppance in this film, because she's really nasty and horrible and vicious. And played brilliantly by her, who fully commits to the role. Beyond those two characters, there's not an awful lot of memorable characters here in this film. And it kind of, the film plays out kind of exactly as you expect it to play out. When you kind of see this film setting up the story, a lot of films will take the time to set up a story, lay those dominoes out, and sometimes they'll give you a swerve, or they'll do something you don't expect. So it goes in a different direction, or it surprises you. This film doesn't do that, unfortunately. It just kind of carries on building the dominoes, and then boom, it just knocks them down. But because it's done competently, and I think there's some fairly strong direction here, the talent in front and behind the camera is all of a very decent standard. It makes the film quite compelling and very watchable. It just doesn't make it original or overly thrilling, because you kind of know everything that's coming here. I never really felt on the edge of my seat because I was worried for a certain character or something like that, because I kind of had figured out in my head where it was going and what was going to happen to certain characters. I kind of come to terms with it. There's some pretty intense, torture scenes going on in the film, and don't get me wrong, there is a couple of negotiation scenes here and there that kind of add to the tension of the film, but beyond that, it's highly predictable stuff, really, is what I'm going to say. So while I initially went into this film with a lot of trepidation, I suppose, and concern that it was going to be dull with poor performances and unbelievable performances, my fears were put to rest in that sense, and I don't think the film is dull. I just think it is wholly unoriginal and very, very by the book, and standard stuff, really, from what you would expect. It's one of those films that when you read the synopsis and you watch the first 10 or 15 minutes of the film, you get a plan in your head of where the film's going, and it just kind of goes that way, really. It doesn't really deviate from it. So you're just kind of watching it play out rather than be treated to any kind of surprises. So, but it is worth checking out if you like these type of action thrillers. The action's done to a decent standard. It's nothing overly special. You get the shootouts, throughout the film, but the big one at the end of the film. But again, it's nothing to write home about. But, put it this way, the film was a little bit better than I expected it to be, which is always a bit of a pleasant surprise. So yeah, check out Red Right Hand if you get the opportunity. I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.